Have you ever sat in a moment so still that you thought you might hear a pin drop, only to realize the loudest thing in the room was your own racing mind? What if, in that loud, chaotic buzz of life, the most profound truths come not in thunderous declarations, but in the softest whispers you almost miss? This is the art of listening, not hearing with your ears, but with your soul. It's like trying to eavesdrop on the divine in a world obsessed with noise. You see, God's whispers aren't like the dramatic, movie-style voice booming from the heavens. No, it's more like a gentle nudge or that quiet thought that feels like an inside joke between you and the universe. And if you think you're too busy or your mind too cluttered, welcome to the club. We're all in this noisy boat. But the secret: silence is not empty. Silence is sacred, and in it, you might just catch that whisper that changes everything. Listening to God's whisper means embracing the quiet moments, even when your life spills over with digital distractions, urgent demands, and an endless to-do list that feels longer than the Great Wall of China. Imagine trying to hear a soft-spoken friend at a rock concert. Impossible, right? But life teaches us that deafening noise often hides what matters most. So, you must learn to turn down the volume not just on your phone or radio, but within yourself. This requires radical courage, to face the silence without fleeing to busyness. When you find yourself running, talking, thinking, or scrolling to avoid stillness, that's the very time you need to pause. It might feel awkward, like standing in an elevator with no one to talk to. But in those moments, God's whisper waits patiently. It's in the deliberate pause, the quiet heart, and the slowing breath that clarity seeps in. It's almost like God is saying, "Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me now?" Now, here's the funny part: no one ever warned us that mastering silence would require patience, as long as waiting for your phone to update or buffering a video on dial-up internet. It's almost comedic how much we despise waiting, yet waiting is the very canvas where God's whispers paint their masterpieces. When you hush your mind from its constant babble, you start noticing little things: a sudden sense of peace, an unexpected insight, or an urge to call a loved one out of the blue. These are the invisible threads of divine communication. And yes, it often comes disguised as a crazy idea or a gut feeling that makes you question your sanity for a second. Humor helps here. You have to laugh at yourself when you realize that the most important messages are often caught like catching fireflies in a jar, delicate, fleeting, and requiring focused attention. So put down the noise, lean into the weight, and open your heart wide. It's like tuning an ancient radio. A little crackle, a little static, and then pure gold. The art of listening is also an emotional roller coaster. It can make you feel vulnerable, exposed, or even scared, because silence often reveals the parts of us we hide: our doubts, fears, and hopes. It's like standing naked in front of your own soul, hoping it doesn't throw a party without you knowing. But here's the divine paradox: God's whisper isn't about condemnation. It's about invitation to love, to heal, to grow. When you dare to listen deeply, you enter a sacred conversation where God meets you right where you are, with all your messy brilliance. This whisper reminds you that you are never alone, especially in moments when you feel like the loneliest person on earth. Embrace the discomfort, because it's the doorway to transformation. And remember, if silence feels intimidating, humor can be your armor. Imagine God whispering, "You're doing great, but maybe put down the third cup of coffee." Listening well requires humility, the willingness to admit you don't have all the answers. And here's a truth bomb: sometimes you whoa. Life, faith, and meaning often feel like puzzles missing half the pieces. But God's whisper invites you into a space where not knowing is okay, because it's there that trust blooms. The art of listening teaches that faith isn't about understanding every detail, but about leaning into mystery with a smile. It's like being handed a cryptic map with directions that say turn left at the hope, then right at the grace. You might laugh at your own confusion, but you keep following, step by step. This journey is less about being perfect listeners and more about being willing listeners. When you accept the limits of your own understanding, God's whisper becomes clearer, like a lighthouse cutting through the fog of doubt. Lastly, listening to God's whisper in silence is a practice, a lifelong, joyous practice. It's not a one-time event or a checklist item, but a daily invitation to slow down, to be fully present, and to trust the unseen. Humor, sincerity, and heart are your companions on this journey. You will stumble, you will chuckle at your mistakes, you will cry tears of frustration and joy. But every moment spent in silence, every breath taken with intention, lays the groundwork for powerful encounters with the divine. Imagine that divine whisper as a secret handshake just between you and God, intimate, unique, and endlessly profound. So dare to listen, dare to stop, dare to hear the silence, because in that stillness, God is whispering the most beautiful stories yet to be told. Knowing when God speaks to you isn't simple, but it's absolutely beautiful when it happens. It can feel a little like waiting for messages through a glitchy phone signal. Sometimes the bars drop, and all you hear is static. But then the perfect signal comes through, and you know it's Him. The truth is, God's voice is distinct once you tune your inner ears. He doesn't sound like your nagging worries or your neighbor's endless political rants. His whisper comes with a sense of peace, clarity, and sometimes even humor. Seriously, the best punchlines have come in quiet moments with God. Recognizing that voice means embracing the silent spaces in your life, turning off the mental noise and waiting with open hands. When it's God speaking, the message brings hope, never despair, guidance, not confusion, and always a sense that you're understood deeply, even with all your quirks and questionable fashion choices. To understand how to listen for God, you need practice like training a puppy, except the puppy is your own easily distracted heart. People expect burning bushes or flashing neon signs, but God often talks like a best friend sharing secrets in a crowded room. You listen with your heart, with silence as your filter, cutting out the chatter of life's anxieties. Sometimes you get confirmation, a gentle nudge, a repeated phrase, a passage you stumble onto, or an unexplainable peace. It's not just about the absence of noise, but about presence, God's presence. You'll know it is Him because His words settle in your spirit like a favorite blanket, warm, gentle, and sometimes making you laugh at yourself for ever doubting. The funniest part is that once you learn this listening, you won't want to stop. Every bit of silence becomes an adventure. God's voice interrupts your plans, fixes your broken moods, and delivers punchlines at exactly the right time. You'll notice that His answers don't always come with a dramatic soundtrack, but sometimes with the quiet certainty that you're not stumbling alone. You'll hear Him in the way your spirit lights up over a kind word, the way peace comes during chaos, or the way your plans suddenly change for the better without making sense. When you know how to listen, you start living as if every whisper matters because, honestly, with God it does. So, stay still, laugh at the awkward silences, and let each gentle nudge guide you with the kind of love only a truly good listener could ever know. And there you have it, the art of listening to God's whisper in the beautiful silence that so many of us struggle to find. If this lesson reminded you to slow down, laugh a little at your own distractions, and open your heart just a bit wider, then guess what? You're already practicing the most important step. So, don't be a stranger. Hit that subscribe button like it's the cosmic pause on your busy life, and come back for more of these soul-refreshing moments because let's face it, we all need a little divine whisper to get through Monday, Tuesday, and frankly, Wednesday too. And if you missed any part of this, rewind. It's like your spiritual popcorn, best enjoyed a few times. Until next time, keep those ears open, that heart ready, and remember, even God has a sense of humor. He probably chuckled when you read this last line. See you soon.